You see it? Do you see the record?
I see the recording button.
We're live. We're
Were
live.
you too famous just yet?
YouTube famous. Hey, be prepared to be an influencer at your local school. There,
I'm telling you, the kids are going to be proud of me.
they're gonna be like, "What? You got on YouTube?"
I know my
Do
own
you
kids are
sell?
pretty excited. Not going to
They're,
lie.
they're gonna be like, "Do you sell merch?
I do actually.
Deidra merch?
Yeah, Miss Kelly.
Miss Kelly? There you
Miss
go. Oh, there you
Kelly.
go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's all good.
All right. So the first thing I'd like to do is I like to do a little toast. I understand that you got to be on the good side over there, but me on this side, I can go ahead and have my apple crown is what I got, and I mixed it with a little Dr. Pepper,
Nice.
and it's freaking delicious.
Delicious. Yeah, no, I've got my bubbly and orange juice, orange juice right here. So cheers.
Cheers to you. Thank you for being on.
You're welcome. And I'll be on my best behavior. I'll try.
That's awesome. All right. So I got my little topics list here. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thanks for having me.
So just go ahead, introduce yourself. What's your name? What do you do? Let's learn a little about you.
All right. So Deidra Kelly. I'm a teacher, obviously with the Miss Kelly. And I teach in a predominantly lower socioeconomic school, highly Hispanic and Spanish speaking, about 85%. And I love it. You never know what each, not only day is going to bring you, but each hour, each minute, even remote,
right,
that happens. It keeps me on my toes, but I love my kids very much. I teach humanities for 6th grade, but I also can teach language arts. I have a master's in special education, and I'm actually getting my education and leadership, which is an administration license currently right now. So working on my 2nd master's.
Oh, nice. Impressive.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and let the crew know that, I'm in hot ass Arizona. Right now, the temperature here is 97 degrees. Where do you live?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado. I'm in Arvada, and it's like maybe 70.
Yeah, I just checked it right now. It's showing a nice 68 degrees over there.
I was close. I didn't even have to look that up.
I'm super jealous. Jealous. I love it over there. And then I noticed you said Arvada. And for some of the people over here in Arizona, we might want to say Arvada. So is there a reason?
Yeah, well, I actually knew a real estate agent. You might know him, who was calling it Arvada, but it's Arvada, and we take that very seriously. It's Arvada, but it's a great town. I love it. Born and raised.
That's awesome. That real estate agent might be me, and I'm glad you corrected me, because I definitely, if I want to try to sell some houses over there, I got my license. I want to make sure that I am at least pronouncing the city name right.
It's a good tip. It's a good tip.
It really worked out. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so I got a few topics here. We just talked about your education. You're very impressive there with 2 masters. Awesome. This is one that came to my head a little bit. I know the other day I was talking to you about, some of the problems behavioral wise with some of the children that you deal with, which made me think about, do you think that the kids that'll be coming out are going to be a little entitled? Are they going to be a little bad? They're going to have bad behavior. They get into the workforce, they're going to be a little difficult. What do you think?
Yeah, I think as a whole society, yes. I think my generation, I'm 38. I think my generation was raised a little not with as much money, at least with my family. And so my mom worked really hard to provide for us. And so we really appreciated everything that we got, but also in return, I want to give my kids everything that I didn't get. And I think this is happening a lot, is that we are providing our kids with everything they want, and we're creating spoiled little knuckleheads who I love dearly. I love my boys. But I think that we are creating a sense of entitlement. And I think that's in every demographic, no matter where you are.
Right. Okay.
But I also think working in the district that I work in, which is lower socioeconomic, it's more of a marginalized group. I don't know if we're necessarily raising spoiled kids there. I think that in education, we're lowering the bar, which isn't fair to them. Which, due to behavior, we do have a lot of behavior issues, and due to behavior issues, we're not able to teach as much and what we want them to know. And therefore, we have to lower the bar in order for them to show success, which is really sad. And that's in education in general.
Right. So the bar is a lot lower for them to get through and pass and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. And it's not fair to them. It's not fair to any of them.
I've heard that literally they pass no matter what. Is that
Mhm.
is that my uneducated, not in the system kind of bad opinion, or?
Yeah, no,
that
you're
true?
exactly right. No, you're exactly right. We do have choices at times to send them to summer school or summer programs, but in certain districts, you don't hold them back. I was that naughty high schooler who wanted to party rather than go to school, and I was close to being held back and not allowed to graduate. And that got the fire under my butt to get things going. But a lot of our students now and kids, they don't get held back. They just get pushed on because we just don't have the support and the resources and the funding to help them. So you just keep on going.
And
It's a
then
nice crap, but it doesn't work.
and then I imagine you're doing remote teaching these days. Is that true? And so sometimes I think that maybe that just, how do I want to put it? Like, it encourages them to slack off even more because they're just at home in their bedroom or on their couch watching TV and not really listening to you. What do you think?
Yep. No, I totally agree. I think we have some major issues with remote learning. I mean, at this point, we're doing the best that we can do. But you're exactly right. I mean, there's times where in a class of 30, I have 15 show up.
Wow.
And those are the kids that want to learn and who are passing and doing a good job and have, I got to give the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles props because they are there to support their kids. So there's a drive there. But I also have the kids who just don't. We have a lot of issues with, do we turn the camera on? Do we let them have it off? If you leave them all on, it's an internet issue. So you just hope for the best and you keep on trucking. And
so is that camera issue, is that something you as the teacher makes, or the principal tells all of you teachers as a whole, leave cameras on, leave cameras off?
my principal is pretty cool. We did that whole discussion of, do we all leave them on, which is what we wanted to do. We were like, nope, you're accountable, you're here. And then we realized that it made the internet incredibly slow for everybody, and everybody was getting kicked out of our Google Meets. And so I finally was like, leave your cameras off, but if you don't answer within 30 seconds, you have to go. And so my students know that, or they respond in the chat box. And so the kids now know, like, they can have their cameras on if they want, but if they don't, as long as they're present and they're able to answer my questions and participate, then they're fine. It's a level of respect too.
And I imagine some kids probably don't have very good internet at home.
No, and a lot of it's based off of the district internet and free internet. And so they're just.
So you guys are providing them with internet?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, how is that?
Sometimes you have a hotspot with 6 computers on it. I mean, it's just not possible. And so our district was able to give everybody computers in the district, which is amazing. But you just deal with it. The kids know that they can access our lessons, and we have to do little pre-recorded mini lessons. So that's kind of weird to be talking into a camera constantly and put yourself on video.
Like right now? Right now?
Like this. You'd figure I'd be used to it, but I'm not. But they access it, and they do. Again, if they want to succeed, they will succeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into another question. I mean, is this the biggest thing that COVID has done to you guys as far as making you, as far as workarounds and things like that, this remote teaching thing? What have you been seeing in your job, and then COVID and all that, and how's it been impacting you?
We're pretty mellow. I'm kind of crazy and I don't leave my house a whole lot.
Okay.
And so, I keep my kids pretty protected. We hang out with our neighborhood kids, and I see my adult friends occasionally. However, I I think teaching wise, it has caused teachers and educators, excuse me, to be better. We've had to figure out how to make it work. And it's challenged us in a way that we've never been challenged, and every day is exhausting. And camera and computer fatigue is a complete legit thing.
That's real.
It's real. I never realized it was. It's completely real. But we've come up with really cool things. Technology is amazing. The stuff that we can utilize, like Pear Decks and Jamboards and all these other things to get kids excited about learning is awesome. But at the same time, it's made it harder. It's made it harder because parents are having to teach, grandparents are having to teach their kids with the computers, and a lot of times that's not feasible. It's not functional. And
well, then I just want to thank you a lot then, because you probably were on this video thing all day today with your kids, and now I dragged you back on again at night in the evening time. And then you're an hour ahead of me over there in Arvada, right? It's right. 7:20 over there.
It's almost bedtime. I mean, teachers have set bedtimes at 8:30.
Oh my! So I know. I have a cap here, huh?
Well, I can make an exception tonight.
You might go to 8:35 maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm toast. I'm done. My kids are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "It's bedtime. It's 7 now."
It's so fun. I mean, an hour is not a big deal, right? But it still is like, whoa, okay, so it's 6:20 over here, 7:20 over there. Oh, I better get this thing started before she falls asleep.
I know. I feel like I'm 80. It's ridiculous.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, let me look at my thing here and see. So you need a second?
Yes, he's just asking for ice cream. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's okay. You got kids then, huh?
Yes, I have 2 little boys, almost 8-year-old and a 9-year-old. So.
Oh, nice. They keep it fun.
Yeah, and entertaining. And when we have remote learning and I'm teaching and they're in Google Meets and I'm in a Google Meet, it's really good times because
do they ever need your help while they're like, I have nieces and nephews over here that need help all the time.
All the time. My fourth grader pretty much. Oh, go ahead.
So if you're already working, you're already on teaching your own class, how do you go help your kids that are in the next room over there?
Not well. I told not well. It's actually kind of a shit show. There are days that like it's smooth sailing, and then there's other days where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I quit life. I quit everything.
I quit life.
but I can't quit life. So a lot of times my 4th grader can do pretty much a lot on his own. My 2nd grader needs a little more help. And so he typically sits right next to me, and occasionally, instead of a chancla being thrown, it's a pencil being thrown in their direction to stop being loud or singing.
I imagine their teachers know that you're a teacher.
Oh, they know.
Do they? Know. Yes, so maybe they give you a little slack, a little leeway there.
You know what they do, but I also know like what they're dealing with. So I tell my kids they better be in tip-top shape and not get in trouble because they'll get blessed. So I do have very respectful boys, which is good.
That's good. So I'm sure they're good in class.
I think so.
You mentioned the COVID thing. Can you go a little bit more into that? Like, what's it like over there? You know, I live in Arizona. What's it like over there in Colorado as far as COVID? Did it have a huge impact on the economy and everything as a whole? I hear you say that you've been kind of staying inside quite a bit. Have you been doing that since COVID started? Like, just give me a whole thing on it.
Yeah, so pretty much, I have to give my brother props because he kind of warned me about this. He's in the medical field, and he was like, hey, we're going to get hit pretty hard. And so my family stocked up. We had toilet paper for days before it was an issue. Like when there was no toilet paper, I had it.
You were good to go?
I was a hoarder. I hoarded toilet paper, paper towels, canned goods. Like I knew it was coming.
Wow.
Yeah, I was psychotic. But you know, we went into quarantine pretty fast in lockdown, and at the first few days I remember crying to my mom because I'm such an outgoing person and I'm an extrovert and I need humans to like, and adults, not that I don't have humans because my kids are humans, but I need adults. And I remember crying and putting my head down, and she was like, oh my gosh, seriously, like this is what you're upset about, that like you have to stay inside for a few days, like get over yourself. And I was like, okay, mom. So I just got used to it. I learned how to cook. To be honest with you, I was never a really good cook, and My boys
Can,
called me
can,
quarantine
I'm,
mom.
I'm
They
sorry.
loved it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but can I ask, like, what are you guys like? Italian? What's your mom?
Yeah. So I'm Irish Italian.
Okay.
So I did the blood test though, and it said that I was more Irish than anything. My mom
Uh-oh.
calls BS on it though. So, but no, I'm Irish Italian, but I don't cook Italian. I don't cook Irish. I mean, I cook more just, no.
So, so when you said your mom was like, get over it, whatever, I just imagined, like, that's why I wanted to ask. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. She was like, suck it up, like be a big girl and knock it off and go play with your kids. And I was like,
She was
okay,
like,
well,
put on your big girl pants. Suck it
yeah,
up.
pretty much. She's like, dude, seriously. So you have to stay home with your kids. That's awful. And I was like, it is, mom, it is.
She's all, how terrible. Whoop-de-doo.
I know. I'm so thankful for it now. But I'm used to it now. And now I don't know how to act in public. Like somebody comes near me and I'm like, oh my gosh, get away from me. You have COVID. I told you I'm a freak. I don't like people being around me. A dude like sneezed and I was like, I'm out of here. I left. I was at Walmart and I was like, I'm leaving.
Wow.
Done.
So are the restrictions, like here we have to have masks on. If we go to the restaurant, we have to have masks on when we're walking in. If you go to the store, it's mandatory. Like, is it the same there? Is it, what's it like over there?
It is. It is. It's the same here. For a while they weren't making masks mandatory, and that's when the dude sneezed at Walmart. And he didn't have a mask, and he like sneezed from the side, and I was like, "Yeah, hell no, we're done. I'm leaving." But now it's mandatory, so I feel a little better. But like I, a lot of my friends and the people that I hang out with and family members were cautious more with our kids.
Okay.
But some of my friends are more adventurous. I'm not. I'm like, no, I'm good. I can get alcohol and food and Amazon. Everything is delivered. Like I'm good. I don't have to leave my house. So, but we have a lot of cases and they're rising. School has gone back. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of districts, not mine. We're still remote. So like we don't have this issue. But there's a lot of districts that have gone back and they're not reporting their cases. And so
they're not reporting the cases?
They're not.
I imagine that's not a good thing.
Oh no, I mean it's a terrible thing. They're lying to their public, to their community.
Wow.
And so I just am glad that my kids are able to stay home with me. We're home for the next year. I was very lucky to be approved of that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty gnarly down here, and you have the people who don't believe in it, and it's their choice. I highly believe in it, and so I'm going to be cautious.
So I've been to the Denver area a bunch of times in my life. I imagine you have a very nice backyard that you can go and hang out with, probably with a deck and a view. No? Yes?
That's pretty funny. I don't have a deck, but I have a wicked patio with hammocks and lights. When COVID hit, I realized we wouldn't be going to the pool and the skate. We used to go to the skate park all the time. So I kind of made a little version of a skate park, and the kids can ride their scooters and skateboards in back. And yeah.
So,
but yes, we do all have decks. It's very rare to not have a deck.
Do you have a basement?
I do have a basement.
Yeah. We don't have them here. It's not very common here in Phoenix, so that's why I'm asking all these questions.
You guys got scary bugs, that's why.
Scary bugs? No, we don't. It's just a couple of scorpions, maybe a rattlesnake here and there, but then you're good.
No.
You have rattlesnakes over there too, right?
We do, but I don't really go places where they could be hanging out. We're not friends. So
there was an incident here where they actually found a rattlesnake under someone's bed and had to call in the authorities to come get it out.
Yeah, I'd burn my house.
Does that ever happen over there?
No, I'd burn my house. I'm not kidding you. I would be done. I'd be like, out for sale.
For sale.
Done. I don't need any of my stuff. Give it to the next owners.
In case it's infested with a rattlesnake or what?
Yes. Like I don't do snakes or bugs.
What's the scariest bug around your house, around your area? Like what do you guys worry about the most? You don't have to worry about a scorpion crawling into your bed or anything like that?
No, black widows.
Oh, we have those here too.
Yeah, see, you guys are all screwed up down there.
We have black widow, scorpions, we have wolf spiders, we have all kinds of different things going on.
We have wolf spiders, but those are pretty harmless.
Yeah, they don't do a
Yeah,
whole
brown
lot.
recluse spiders. They don't do spiders.
Yeah, yeah, we have those spiders too. We have tarantulas.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be there. Mm-mm.
No?
Mm. No, we have a butterfly pavilion or like an insect place, and you can go hold a tarantula. Yeah,
Nice.
not there's no need. Like what in your life like is that a truly an accomplishment? Like I held a tarantula. Hell no.
Maybe
No.
it's like a bucket list type thing. You know, people like to jump out of planes, maybe hold a tarantula. No?
I'd rather jump out of a plane. and I don't like flying. So that just tells you how much I hate spiders.
Have you ever been to Phoenix?
I flew in and stayed one night in a hotel. I met my niece. She went to school in Flagstaff, and then we
Oh,
drove.
nice.
Yeah.
So no real experience here then, huh? You didn't spend any time here.
No. Well, okay. Now hold on. I lived because we went to In-N-Out. Okay, that was a
There is
must.
an In-N-Out. There's a couple of those here.
There is. We got tattoos. That was also a must. And then we had Dutch Brothers. So I mean, that was kind of living.
Do you, so there's no In-N-Out over there in Denver?
No. Supposedly we're getting one, but I don't know. We do have Dutch Brothers though, but it's
I was
fine.
gonna say, and then Dutch Brothers, has that opened up over there? Yeah.
We have a few. They're popping up pretty fast, but there's one about 20 minutes from my house.
So they've been around here for a long while now, but the lines are insane. Like
Yeah.
they wrap out to the street. Have you had that
Hella
same
good.
have you had that same issue over there?
Yeah, it depends on where you go. It depends on the location. But that one that's up in like Thornton area,
Uh-huh.
you can get in and get out pretty fast.
Is Thornton far from you?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
But I've made the drive for
All the
Dutch
way there just for Dutch Brothers? Wow.
They need to build one closer. It's not
Wow.
there. It's Arvada. Everything's coming to Arvada. We even have the light rail. Like, why wouldn't we have a Dutch Brothers?
That's true. Maybe they'll open a Dutch Brothers by the light rail.
I would be so happy. I'm broke. I'm broke.
I guess, Dutch Brothers is good. I'm not gonna say I don't like it, but I don't know. I guess I'm just not that kind of a person that I get where I need to go wait in long ass lines for a coffee. I don't understand it. The only reason I've ever done is because my daughter talked me into it. And I was like, fine, it's your birthday. We'll wait in this line.
I don't know, man. It's good. Their coffee's good.
Otherwise, I see that line and I'm like, keep it moving, keep it trucking, keep it going.
You can go to Starbucks much faster. And I love Starbucks too. So there's really I think that's why I don't Starbucks. Starbucks is great too. And that's right by my house. Like there's 4 right within like a block of me.
Oh, really? Yeah. And then I don't know if it's the same in Denver, but over here, there's like a lot of mom and pop type coffee shops and stuff like that. And oh man, those are really good.
Yeah.
They make a lot of good coffee. So I'm like, I'll just go there. And there's no line. You walk right up, get your coffee in 2 seconds. Happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting there. I think Arvada is definitely turning around to that small business scenario. They want to really, especially Old Town. Old Town's amazing. It went from being very run down to kind of like a hip place to go. And so we have a lot of original, like family owned, small owned businesses.
And then was the light rail the reason for that? Last time I was there, I rode up into Arvada on the light rail from the airport. Is that why? Did that revive it, or was it already happening before that?
It was already happening. Yeah, it was already happening. I think people realize what a gold mine it really is. And Arvada I would say it's a community and change or transition, because a lot of the people who lived here originally, they're getting older and they're selling their houses because they're bigger houses. And
if you run into any of them, tell them you know a good realtor.
I will. Yeah, I will. I'll give them your card. No, I like it. It's good.
All right, keep going. I'm sorry.
But but you're exactly right. That's how you get, word of mouth is how you get stuff to sell. But young families are moving. And so the people who were raised there, like myself and my friends, we all came back to Arvada because we loved it so much and we wanted to raise our families here. So
you moved out? You moved away from Arvada for a while?
Yeah.
Did you move out of state, or did you move just within the?
No, it's in a small little town called Lochbuie, which literally is like a 5-minute drive and you're done with the city.
Wow.
but it's a little more out east. And then I moved to Thornton, and it was like where all the malls were, and it was more of the city feel.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to come home. This is Arvada's home. So, and my mom's close by, and my friends. I mean, I could walk to my friend's house.
And what was the name of that first town you said?
Lockabooey.
Lakabui.
Lockabooey.
I've never heard of that one. Where is it located?
It's literally right outside of Brighton, Colorado.
Oh, okay. I know
Yeah.
where Brighton is.
Yeah. It's like legit 5 blocks. It's so small.
Wow.
Cheap
And
housing, nice housing, and it's a nice area.
did you like it there? Did you not like it there? Like,
I did, but it was like honestly, like I was working and I had my kids and my mom watching my kids, and it was like a 45-minute drive to my mom, and that just
wow.
wasn't. I wasn't dealing well with that.
I see. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're real close with your mom then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's my best friend. I
So you
love
guys
her
talk like on the daily,
multiple times.
multiple times during the day.
Especially now that I'm home. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working, Mom. Like I'm in a class. Are you okay? Are you dying?" She's like, "No, I just called to say hi." I was like, "Yeah, I'm working.
You're like,
I
hello.
gotta go."
You remember like every other day, Mom, Monday through Friday, I'm working.
I'm like, "I don't. What do you think I'm doing? Well, what are the kids doing? They're in school."
They're in school.
Yeah. So yeah, she checks in on me, but she's sweet. She'll like bring us coffee, and
Oh, that's
she's
cool.
she's a
How,
rock star.
how is she handling this whole COVID thing? Like, is she doing well? Everybody's good, healthy? Are they scared? Not scared? What's the deal?
Um, so she's extremely high risk. And so
Oh, okay.
like extremely high risk. And so we we don't get to see her a whole lot. We wear masks around her, we keep our distance from her, which was hard because she literally was with my kids like 3 times a week when I was working at my
Oh, wow.
school. She watched them. And so it's really hard. In fact, my oldest son was like, "You know what? I really miss Nana. She's the best person I know." And I was like, "I know, buddy." So we take care of her. My siblings, my brothers also help her out, like bring groceries and food. But I mean, she was doing pretty good at first. And then I had to tell her a few times to pull up your big girl panties. We're gonna be fine. But you know, when you're alone, it's boring. I couldn't imagine being alone. I would go insane. And I think there's times where you can only clean out your closet so many times.
Rearrange it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So but she's doing good. She's hanging in there. She's doing what she can. So, but again, like we're all so cautious. My brothers are really cautious, and
So,
we just
so
do
your
our
whole
best.
family, your brothers and your mom, they all live right there in Arvada?
Or close by within like 15 minutes.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I'm centrally located. So my mom's 5 minutes this way. One of my brothers is 5 minutes that way. And then my other brother is just like 15 minutes in Northland. So we're all in
Okay.
the same general area.
North Glen. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Not to completely take this conversation off track, but you said a couple of things that reminded me of a very traumatic story from your area up there, something that just been released on Netflix, but I did a video on it probably, I don't know, months ago. But that Chris Watts thing.
Mm-hmm. So I did send you a thing on Facebook about it. There's the Netflix movie that came out because they're trying to sell the house and no one wants to buy the house.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that. Go ahead.
You see, no, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, adding to that what you just said, I saw that they're contemplating maybe just ripping the whole house down and making it like a pass through to the next neighborhood, like just a road, because literally nobody wants to live there or buy it or anything.
No, and I'm a believer in ghosts, whether it's good ghosts or bad. Like I believe that there's spirits around. But that house is haunted. Like legit. They were doing videos with like the FBI agents, and they had paranormal activity that was like pretty wicked. And I was like, yeah, no, we're good.
Really?
Yes, it's creepy. Like,
would you go up in there?
No, bad juju, juju.
So this is going to be cool because I've never talked to someone that's like kind of a local about this story. Like, what did you guys get out of this whole thing when it first started coming out? I mean, I think the mistress lived in North Glen, right? That's what I heard or I read.
She might have.
My
brain is pretty fried. Like, I can't remember what I did last Tuesday, but I'll try my best.
Just like, do you remember when that whole story came out? Do you remember hearing things? Do you know anybody that knew them? Like anything like that?
No, that was kind of further away from us. That's like Firestone. And
Yeah,
so that's a good 40-45 minutes away from where I am in Arvada. But we, you heard the story. It was tragic. And the guy Chris Watts was so believable. But I think a lot of times they are.
yeah,
But I think it was, as a mom, it was heart-wrenching when they found the bodies of the girls,
yeah.
in those containers. I think it's awful. I don't know how anybody could do that. I don't know how anybody could harm their own children, any children, but let alone, especially, he killed them. So yeah, it's pretty sad. And the area up there, they had a lot of videos of neighbors had videos of their ring videos and security cameras of him like pulling things out of his house. So it was very incriminating. I'm not surprised he didn't get caught as fast as he did.
Well, yeah, they credit that the friend of the poor lady that died, right? Because she's the one that literally came over like the very next morning
Mm-hmm.
and was like banging on the door and got the cops there so early. I imagine that surprised the hell out of Chris Watts. He probably thought he had a lot more time to cover his tracks.
Yeah.
And there the cops were at his doorstep the next morning.
Yeah. And I just don't, I don't know. I've gone through my own divorce, but like, you don't have to do that to your family. If you're not happy, just leave. And I know that's easier said than done. It's not an easy time in your life, but like, you don't have to kill your family because
Yeah,
you're jacked up. Like, you can get out of it. It's okay. You can figure it out.
yeah, he wouldn't be the first to have cheated and left the wife for somebody else. Like he wouldn't have been the first.
Yeah.
Could have just divorced her. Yeah, it would have probably been super ugly, but then he could have had what he wanted, right? He could have been with the other girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't realize that oil was like a big industry.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
I didn't realize that about the area over there. So that's what he worked in, right? And he dumped those poor little girls' bodies into those tanks.
Yeah, it was really sad. And they're big buckets. It's terrible. So, but yeah, oil is a huge industry. And he really did think that, he'd be able to get rid of the evidence because there's a lot of stuff out there on the rig pads or whatever they call them. So it's pretty sad.
So there's like no other like cool local insight stories of that story that maybe the rest of the world hasn't heard.
I think we have our fair share of crap. If you want to look into one, Jessica Ridgway.
Jessica Ridgway.
Poor little soul. You could look into that story, and that's if you're looking into that crime piece, that's one to look into.
Is that somebody that lived there as well?
She was from Westminster, which is not, it's like across the street from me.
Wow.
And she was murdered a few years ago. So that was a pretty hard one. Breonna Taylor is another one who they're fighting for right now to find out like what the story was, killed by police officers. But yeah,
do you have a brief story on that one you said that died in Westminster? Like what happened there?
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It was a little girl who was walking to the bus stop.
Also, it was a young child.
Yeah, she was like 9. And she was walking to the bus stop going to meet her friends to walk to a bus stop, and she was kidnapped by I want to say it was like 17, and murdered and dismembered and taken to a lake that's like down the street.
So the lake is near you?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
In fact, I want to say, I know this is weird, but I think the anniversary is coming up because I was in the hospital having my youngest son. So yeah, it should be like any day.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet little girl. But they caught the guy, they caught the teenager. I don't remember what happened to him. I'm sure he was found guilty because he confessed, and I actually think his mom turned him in. I could be wrong though, So don't hold me to that, but I do want to say that like I think his mom might have turned him in. And I actually knew people who um, lived in that neighborhood and their kids were questioned about this teenager who did it.
Oh my gosh. So that teenager in jail now?
I want to say yeah, but I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to look into this one. Wow,
But
that's crazy. That's sad. Yeah, I did a whole
yeah,
video on the Chris Watts one. I'm gonna have to see about
yeah,
investigating this one just to see. I don't know if that's sick of me, but I am fascinated by some of these stories. It's crazy and
yeah,
sad.
yeah. No, I mean, I think, well, I think that's why people get into forensics and things like that, trying to figure out, what happened. So I don't think it's sick. I think it's fascinating. It's just hard as a mom because it's my age of my kids.
Oh,
So
I bet. Yeah.
that's right. So
Wow.
yeah.
So there's been a couple of crazy stories over there in the around the area of Denver, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're a pretty big metropolis. I mean, we're nothing like, no, let me rephrase that. We're like a mini metropolis. We're like getting bigger. But there's a lot of stuff that happens here. So I love it though. I wouldn't move anywhere else than Colorado.
Well, I'll tell you that airport there is huge. It puts the one here in Phoenix to shame.
Which actually good bringing that up because there's a lot of legends and like folklore that it's haunted and that it was built on an Indian burial ground. And so it's haunted. And there was also it to be rumored that there's like a huge bunker built underneath it in case of some sort of like nuclear war that certain citizens of Denver and Colorado would actually like be able to live to repopulate. Swear.
Who gets that?
Swear.
Who gets that card? How do you get access to that thing?
Me, you gotta be a badass. That's what it is.
What the heck? A bunker?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you know how big the airport is. It's
That thing is huge.
it's the entire lower level. Like you could drive like vans down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been there. I'm obviously right. I mean, did you feel? Oh, you haven't been to DIA?
Oh, DIA, yes. I just haven't been underneath. That would be
Oh,
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Did you feel it was haunted? Did you feel creepy? Did you get any bad vibes?
No, but that freaking horse that's in the front with the orange eyes doesn't help anything.
Yeah. What's up with that? I've seen that horse a bunch of times.
I don't know, I
Is
think
that
it's so
supposed to
funny
be?
though.
At first, I just assumed like because the Denver Broncos, the football team, like maybe.
I think so. And I actually think the sculptor who did it was smushed by it and died. I'm not kidding. Like that's why there's all these, you have to look into it. That's why there's like all these different theories that it's like haunted and stuff. Yeah, he was like, I don't know if he was setting it up or finishing or whatever, but it like fell on him and smushed him and killed him.
What the heck? So is
Bad
it? I
juju
don't know if
too.
I don't know if I want to fly into that airport anymore. Is there another airport around the area I can fly into?
I don't think close by. I think that's it.
Oh man, I don't know that I
Mhm.
want to fly there anymore.
Yep.
I'm just gonna drive when I go back into town trying to work.
Mm. Yeah. 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 You should look into that one too. There's a lot of different theories on that.
So is it like the Illuminati created Denver International Airport, or what? They have like their own society there, or what?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
huge place. Like I can imagine, you can get lost there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then they have that weird hotel, the Westin Hotel, that's attached. And
Yeah, I was taking video of that thing the last time I was there. I was like, well, this is crazy. It's a big old hotel right here.
the weirdest, I don't know.
I'm like, who stays in this hotel? Because there's nothing around here. What do? Just hang out at the airport all day?
I guess so. I guess it's for people who don't want to travel like 10 minutes west because there's a whole bunch of hotels and restaurants there too. So I don't know. I just live here.
All right. I had another topic to get into. I had sent you a YouTube video. Kind of it was in regards to like Christopher Columbus and things like that. The gist of that video that I sent you was a professor talking, and it was literally the professor providing proof that Christopher Columbus wasn't the person that discovered America. And I think that's been out there for a long while, so it's not like I'm breaking any kind of news there. I mainly wanted to ask you about it just to get your thoughts on it, as you know, you're a teacher, you know, you're super educated, but also you're a guy, you know, Christopher
Because I'm
Columbus is
white.
Italian, you're Italian. You now said that you're not completely
Because I'm
Italian.
white.
I mean, I wasn't gonna just say it like that.
I mean, I'm light skinned, blonde hair, freckles. I mean, I can't get more Northern European than this. So
So the video was like the Africans got here first. There's lots of proof of that. Christopher Columbus covered it up. What are your thoughts? How do you feel? How does this make you feel as, I didn't say a white person, a person that maybe shares some lineage
to Columbus and
with
okay.
Christopher Columbus?
Excuse me.
How does this make you feel offended in any way? Are you like, hey, what the hell? Like, how do you feel?
I think we should have taught this years and years and years ago. I don't feel offended whatsoever. You know, I think historically speaking, I'm looking at my notes. I made notes. I'm such a dork.
Okay. I'm glad you made notes. That's cool. That
Yeah.
means you put some thought into it.
I did. I didn't want to look stupid. I think that, you know, it brings me back to, and in fact, I was actually talking to my neighbor about this, is that growing up in school, we used to get Columbus Day off. And I remember it being a huge issue, and there was a lot of rallies, and it was the Italians versus Native Indians, who were the original inhabitants of the Americas. And so, you know, I didn't understand it as a kid because I was like, I'm Italian, this is awesome, like, go Columbus. But now, you know, as I got older and learned more about our history and what happened, I mean, he was a murderer. I mean, let's be honest, that's what a lot of the, I would say, explorers were. You know, even if they weren't out here, you know, specifically slaughtering people, which is what they did. You can look at like the Aztecs and Cortez or Columbus with the Native Indians here in America, North America, but diseases and everything. I mean, it wiped out, according to the professor, 90% of the indigenous people. I mean, that's a lot.
90%.
90% of the indigenous people were killed by the second, like after the second voyage. I see, now I feel like a dork.
No. This is
After
fascinating.
the second voyage, over, like, it was, they had the second was the most notable because it was most armored and the most documented, and had the most amount of people on there. But then they had a few more, and 90% of the indigenous people were killed, were dead.
90%. That's
90%.
a crazy number.
Yeah.
When you say 90% of the indigenous people, you mean in the entire, like, what we know as the United States today, or are you talking about like in the local area where the ship landed or whatever?
I mean, I think I would have to look more into that because you have to look at the timeline of like when they went from the East Coast over. But I would say within that region, 90% were killed.
That's crazy.
And I want to say that I've heard that before, because when Cortez went in to, they invaded the Aztecs, same thing. Like, we're talking 80% or more of the indigenous people were wiped out. But it was the diseases, even if it wasn't the battles or the wars, the diseases that came from Europe were just, I mean, it was awful. I mean, the plague, for one.
Wow, that's crazy.
Chickenpox, measles. So yeah, it wiped them out. And that's what I think is interesting. So no, I mean, they truly should not be celebrated. I don't care if I'm Italian, white, whatever. They were murderers.
You saying that makes me feel lucky to even be here.
Yeah.
You know, that means my ancestry survived.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For me to be here today.
Yeah.
90%. That's a huge number.
Huge.
Like, that literally changed the whole course of. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, he's notarized. I mean, with 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and the professor said, oh, I forget what he said, but he was talking about another poem. It was like 1493, Columbus stole all three, and it was like the different continents or like islands that he was going for. I mean, you know, they were paid. They wanted notoriety. They wanted money, and the queens and kings of all these different countries wanted land to conquer.
Wow. So you think that the history books and everything were rewritten? You know how they say the winner goes the spoils. they rewrote the history books to say that Columbus was the original, you know, he discovered it, even though Christopher Columbus was probably fully aware that that wasn't the case.
Oh, 110%. Because there was no one who was going to disagree with them, one. And two, there were a lot of the people, you know, who could what's the word I'm trying to think, who could say, hey, this is really what happened. I mean, 90%, if you have 100 people, 90 are dead. That's only 10%, 10 people to tell the story. That's not enough.
Yeah, and then probably the longest time, no one was going to give them credibility anyways, right? They weren't going to listen to them.
Right. You know, I mean, so there was no way for them to record the history. I mean, it was a white man's world. It still is. I mean, it's sad, and I'm probably going to get haters for it, but it's true. And I think as a society, we're realizing this more and more, but that it hasn't gone away, that it is a white man's world.
Don't worry, I only get 40 views on these videos, so don't worry.
Okay, cool. So I'll only get a little bit of hate.
Your hate will be at a minimum.
Okay, that makes me feel good. I don't want to go home crying at night, you know, because I stay home. But yeah, no, I mean.
So he was fully aware that so like in that video, he was probably fully aware that the Africans had been here, because there was artifacts that they found that showed that they had been here.
The first account, so this is going to be my middle school teacher brain. The person who was referenced, the professor referenced, his name was Leo Wiener. It just makes me laugh. So
what was his name?
I teach Wiener, Mr. Wiener. That's why I teach middle school, because I'm just as immature as they are. But he was, I want to say, a botanist and a linguistic. So he studied like languages and plants. And he was the one who started to discover through his studies that Columbus mentioned in his diaries that there was, he went to, forget where, it was in the Mesoamerica area. He went and Columbus was given gold-tipped spearheads, which were actually made of the same metal that was originated in Africa. And so they made the connection and looked at the different type of metal that was on the spearheads. And so the people in Mesoamerica were given it from voyages from Africa with men from Africa. And so that was kind of the first account that, yes, Columbus was not the first one, that it was truly people from mostly East Africa. They had mentioned some of West Africa too. And if you look at a globe or a map, and the guy made a lot of sense, you know, it's actually not that far to go from Africa, West Africa to Mesoamerica. It was actually easier than going from Europe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I think he said that the closest, what was the closest spot in the United States to Africa?
Maine.
I mean, I guess I'm just not that, you know, up on my globe positionings of the continents, but that kind of surprised me. I'm like, Maine, really? Yeah. Maine's the closest?
It surprised me too, to be honest with you, because I would be like, Florida.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, you know. Nope, it was Maine.
That's crazy, huh? Is that because we live on a flat earth?
You got to be careful not to fall off. It's a real pain in the butt. It happens. It happens. So yeah. So I mean, they also did a few different Leo Wiener, Mr. I want to say doc. I don't know if he was a doctor or not. But let's call him Professor Wiener in this case.
All right.
Because I don't know the technical title to give him. But he also did a lot of digging into like the plants, because he was a botanist, and so he was looking at the different plants that came from like the triangle trade, which is like what started to happen after, like, so once they started a route to get from like Europe and Spain over to the Americas, they started trading food. And so sweet potatoes, yams, he said cotton, tobacco, and peanuts came from what they believe is Africa. But the biggest hint was plantains. And again, this professor was amazing. This is not me. But the professor was saying that the plantains wouldn't have survived in salt water. And so they had to have been there prior to the triangle trade, which means they had to have come from Africa before Columbus, because they wouldn't have survived the route. So, which I thought was pretty cool too.
So I don't know if I got it from that video or if I read it somewhere else, but Christopher Columbus himself was told by some of the locals, right, that because you mentioned the metal and the spearheads and all that earlier, that they received those from, in their words, darker skinned, basically Black individuals. They told this directly to Christopher Columbus himself, right? So he was fully aware of this, correct?
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes.
That's okay.
They did. Balboa, who was another explorer who was mentioned in 1513, Balboa met a tribe of Ethiopians in Mesoamerica, and that
really,
was really which was really surprising for him. And so
like he just happened on them. He was just like.
Well, he was conquering, killing, slashing, burning, pillaging, what they did best. I mean, come on. I mean, that's what they all did. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, you're all Christians now. Congratulations.
He was waking up in the morning. He's like, I'm gonna go conquer today.
Yes, that's exactly. I don't know if you know this, but Cortez was so confident in his victory over the Aztecs, he burnt his ships and told
what
his
the heck?
his men,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're not going back. Like, this is our land. And that was it. And that was it. And they actually were losing to the Aztecs were pretty vicious, and they put up a really good fight. And even after they Cortez lied and killed Montezuma, the Aztecs put up a good fight and almost won, but it was diseases. The diseases wiped them out. They were killed by measles.
I was just going to ask that question. How is it possible that they were able to travel all the way across the ocean in those days? It's not like you could bring a big old cruise ship full of supplies and weapons and you know what I mean? Bring they had to come limited, but they were still able to overtake the people that actually lived here. Those people should have had plenty of materials, plenty of weapons. I mean, I understand they're not going to have machine guns. They're going to be with spears and whatnot, but they had to, it's like going into your own home, where everything. It had to be the disease that was the turning point, right? That's what tipped the scales.
That's really what tipped the scales. Now, they did have horses and stuff. I mean, so I'm kind of having a squirrel moment, because if you think about the size of the ships, they were talking about in the video about Christopher Columbus, that Africans, they had paintings and pottery with examples of their ships, and they were huge. Some of them could carry up to easily 60 to 90 passengers. So I mean, even for that time, we're talking, I want to say 900 BCE. Maybe that's later on. But pretty early on, they were able to make canoes out of these huge trees and ships. And they started, carrying things with them. Now, when you get into the more Spanish conquests or conquistadors and Columbus, they started bringing over horses and cows, and because the Americas didn't have that. And they had cannons and guns, where you can't really compete an arrow and a gun.
I get that, but they could only bring over so many cannons, right? And so many guns. Yeah. There had to have been so many Aztec warriors.
Yeah.
That you're gonna kill quite a few of those with those cannons, but wouldn't they have been overrun by numbers? I don't know. I'm trying to understand, I guess.
No, and in the end, it was the diseases, because again, the Aztecs, at least from this point of view, that's what I teach. That's why I know this stuff.
That's cool.
Okay, that's good, because I feel like a giant dork right now. No, the Aztecs were kind of making way, and the way that they built their city was in Lake Texcoco. I mean, it was in a lake. They had the bridges that they pulled up. They had all these different things, but it was diseases that just wiped them
Why
out.
weren't there any diseases that went the opposite way? Why wasn't there anything here that made the Europeans sick?
I think that's a really good question. And one thing I'm going to be honest, I don't know a ton about that topic. What I can assume is hygiene. It talks about, the natives were very clean. They would take baths constantly. What we know about Europe during this time is that it was dirty. I mean, look at the plague.
I've seen pictures of like London, England back in the day, and it was just a shithole.
It was, and they threw their garbage and their feces out in the streets. Of course, there's gonna be rats and grossness. And so,
can you imagine just like you at your house right now? Can you imagine just opening up your back door there, your slider, and you're like, here you go.
There we go. No.
All right, the shit's out the door.
I mean, no, I would be gagging my whole life. It would be miserable. And that's why the life expectancy wasn't as high.
But you're saying overall that lack of hygiene actually helped them because they were more tolerant to viruses and diseases and all that?
Oh, I can guarantee you. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Every teacher can pretty much, like, if you have a teacher watching this, I hope they verify this for me. When you go on summer break, okay, life is great. You're not in schools, you're not around kids, unless you have your own, and even then it's not that bad. Within 3 weeks of going back to school, you are completely sick.
Really?
Every year. Because your immune system goes down.
That's because these dirty little kids. Huh.
They don't wash their hands. They don't. And then they touch your paper and they eat and then they touch the paper and you cake and it's gross. No, but that's why. I mean, if you think about it, here's another example. I guarantee you, if I were to go back into my school right now and I've been out of my building and around kids for 6 months, and COVID aside, I would get every single thing you could think of.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, in a micro level, what happened when the Europeans came over to the natives and the Aztecs.
Yeah.
They just came over and made them sick.
They did. I mean, we still think about it. We get our MMR shots, measles, mumps, and rubellas. We get those vaccinations because they're so deadly. We don't have an immune system that could beat it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and they knew that. I mean, when they converted, I remember reading one story a while ago, when they converted the natives into Christianity. I don't care if it was the Aztecs, the natives, and, I don't care what part of the world you were in, or like Mesoamerica, the priest would give them blankets and clothing from the Europeans. They were covered in germs. They were covered in fleas. Fleas had the plague. Therefore, they think that they're wearing nice clothes. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are so great, because they had to act that way or else they were killed or enslaved. And they would get sick and die.
Not to be nasty, but do you think that maybe some of them were like, ooh, little dark skin action there. Let me go get one of them natives. And that transferred some diseases too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm totally sure about that.
Wow. This is super interesting. Super interesting. Don't stop. You got more points.
Oh, just keep going.
Just spit them out there.
Just keep going.
Yeah, this is super fascinating.
One thing that I found really interesting is in it's in South America, and I don't know how south it is, but there was, or I want to say Central America. So a little further south than Mexico. The very first civilization that we typically talk about are the Olmecs, which is like the first Central American civilization, ancient Civ. And they were talking about in the video that the Olmecs are like 12 huge, I can't even tell you how heavy they are, stones. And they're carved like with faces. And they actually look like African faces, like with helmets on. And they're dated about 900 BCE. So before Common Era, or before Christ, depending on what calendar you use. And so the Olmecs were actually, they say were representing African warriors. So again, that just proves, or the theory is that Africans were there with the Olmecs in Mesoamerica, Central America, way before Christopher Columbus. Because if we're looking at BCE or before Christ, I mean, that's over 1400 years till Columbus. And that's a huge difference.
That's quite a while back.
It's a huge difference.
I think I've heard of that a little bit, but I actually heard of it on a different show called Ancient Aliens, where they were kind of trying to say that those stones were actually carvings showing that there was proof that ancient aliens were here back in the day, and they're the ones that, you know, started society and made us go from basically monkeys to more advanced, you know, beings.
I mean, either way, we're
From
here
your
now.
point of view, being an educated person in this field, how do you feel about that ancient alien stuff? It just popped in my head. I'm sorry, I gotta ask it.
I don't believe in that. No, I don't. I think that it's more of a historical connection. Well, just like Stonehenge. I mean, I think
Right.
we have these really cool things that don't have a lot of explanations, and it's cool to read the theories, but just kind of go with it because it's cool.
Right.
But I don't believe in aliens.
No ancient aliens. Oh, you don't believe in aliens like at all?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If an alien shows up, I'm probably gonna shoot myself. You know, like we're not. Like I prefer not to think about that. That's creepy stuff.
Oh, so it's more out of sight, out of mind kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah. I live in a land of unicorn, rainbows, and ponies.
Well, okay, on that note, what if they're more like Alf type aliens? Sorry, I dated myself there with the show Alf, but
Okay,
what
that's
if they're
really
like
funny.
little friendly alien? Or like ET? What about like ET? All you
No,
know,
ET is not. No, that homeboy is scary as
ET
all
was
heck.
scary. He was like super friendly. He just wanted to eat some M&Ms.
No. Mhm.
Was it
Mm,
M&Ms or Skittles? I can't remember which one.
No, I never watched the full movie because that thing's freaky.
You never watched ET?
No, he scared me. I was a little girl. Like he points his finger and he talks all weird. No.
He was just, the only thing he said was like, ouch, ouch.
No, and he was like, oh yeah. No, it was terrifying. It was so scary.
I think this is the first time I've ever met anybody that was terrified by ET.
No, it was so scary. I also didn't like, no, if you want to get into real scary stuff, those
Let's
stupid
do it.
Ewoks on Star Wars. Never watched any of those stupid movies. Okay, now hold on. I felt they were scary, not stupid. I need to refrain from saying that because I'm gonna get a whole bunch of haters.
You're gonna get attacked by the Star
I
Wars
am.
kingdom.
On your 40 views, they're all gonna hate me. It is
All
not
40
stupid.
may be Star Wars fans. That's true.
They are. They're all Star Wars fans.
So the Ewoks scared you?
And my brothers used to have stuffed ones, and they would put them throughout the house and scare me. All it was awful. It's the worst.
So you've never watched Star Wars then?
No.
Not one? Have you seen any of them?
Okay. My dad took my brother Joshua and I. When I don't know, one of them came out in the theater, and I closed my eyes and cried. Like it was
Cried.
I did. I didn't want to go, and my dad made me go. I was like, I don't want to go.
Oh my
Little
gosh.
things scare me.
Fun fact. You know that the people that made ET are the same people that made Star Wars originally, right?
Go figure.
So ET actually shows up in one of the Star Wars movies. He's in the Star Wars galaxy, I guess you can say.
And like
So,
my oldest brother is a huge, him and his kids, like huge. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not stupid. It's actually for people, I'm taking the foot out of my mouth. For people who enjoy that stuff and aren't afraid of Ewoks, it's a totally legit thing. For babies like me, it's terrifying.
there's this
You add
show out.
ET into it, and then if you add Alf, it's like a triple threat.
You didn't like Alf either then, huh?
No, he kept wanting to eat cats. Who does that?
So are there any alien movies you've ever watched? What about like Men in Black or something?
I mean, yeah, that was okay, but they were killing them. They
That
weren't
wasn't
friends with them.
scary.
No, they weren't giving them Skittles or cats or I don't know, whatever Ewoks ate.
I don't even remember how we got on this topic, but that's,
Olmecs, the Olmecs.
oh yeah. How did that get us into the Star Wars galaxy? That's funny.
You know what? Because you started in with that alien crap, and then
Oh,
I
the
got all
ancient
scared. I'm
aliens.
gonna have nightmares tonight over these stinking little critters. Terrifying. My brother scarred me for life.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully I'm gonna make a clip of this and send it to you so you can send it to your brother.
I'd be like, you ruined me. You ruined me. It was the worst.
So there's a show out now called The Mandalorian that's part of the Star
Mhm.
Wars galaxy, and it has Baby Yoda. You've had to have seen Baby Yoda somewhere.
Yes. Okay. And baby Yoda's super cute. Yoda, adult Yoda is super cute.
Oh, so you're okay with Yoda? Okay.
Well, I haven't watched that either. My son did. I don't watch it.
The Mandalorian is a super good show. I think you would even like it.
I probably would.
I feel
I-
like it's that good of a show that even non-Star Wars people can enjoy the show. Like it's just good.
No, he was like, he watched every episode. He was like, you want to watch it? And I was like, no. It's scary.
Scary.
It's scary.
So do you watch scary movies?
No.
Like, have you ever seen The Exorcist? Have you ever seen like Omen, Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th, Halloween?
Mm-mm.
Say that it's like a Friday night and you have nothing going on. What movie do you put on?
There is always reruns of The Office. There's always The Office is my go-to show. I've seen that series probably 8 times.
I guess The Office is safe. There's nothing scary about
It's
The
safe.
Office.
There's nothing scary.
The
I've
scariest
seen
thing
a
is
few.
Dwight.
I mean, and Dwight's hysterical. Even when he puts the face on him, I was just watching the CPR one where he cuts the skin off and he's like, yeah. No, but I've seen scary movies like, okay, The Ring terrified me. That was awful. My
I remember
brother
that
and I
movie.
watched, yeah, it was great. Like Easter would have been the 5th day. And so my brother and I literally were like, today's Joey 4. Are we going to die tomorrow on Easter? It's awful. It was awful. It was awful.
So I feel like your brother liked to torture you on this, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're the baby, I actually have 5 siblings, or 4. I'm the baby of 5. I mean, they take advantage of that. They used to just torment me.
Are you the baby by a lot of years or just a few years?
My oldest brother's 12 years older than me. So it's 12, 10, 8. You're like, so in years older than me.
Yeah.
And then my brother Joshua, he's like 4 years older than me. So there's 12 years between all of us.
That's not too bad.
No. You're the baby of the family, aren't you?
I'm the baby in my family. My oldest brother was he was in his 50s, late 50s. So a good almost 20-year difference there.
Yeah. No, we weren't that far out.
Wow.
But they tortured me.
What's the scariest movie you've ever seen? Like all the way through from start to end.
Okay, so scary wise, probably The Ring. I think sadistic wise was Saw movie. I watched the Saw movie once and it was awful.
So The Ring, I haven't seen that in a long time. So that's the one where you like watched a video and then after a certain amount of days, like the girl would come crawling out of your TV. Is that what it was?
Yes. Easter Sunday was going to be a really dark day.
So on Easter Sunday, did you make sure to stay away from the TV?
My brother and I didn't watch TV the whole day. I actually no, in fact, I actually think we watched like Passion of the Christ. We were like, this will save us.
You know what you should have did? You should have watched The Ring again. It would have reset the clock. Then you'd have had another.
That was genius. That's genius.
And you'd had
No, sorry, I was gonna say, you know what? Another really scary movie from when I was a kid was The Candyman. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
That was a scary movie too.
I thought it was funny.
Go to a public restroom, you're gonna die, bees everywhere. No. No, I don't watch scary shows. I don't even like watching Dateline, when they're like, dun, 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 local wife killed by, was it truly the husband? No. And I don't go on cruises. Fun fact, you'll get a kick out of this. I don't go on cruises because someone's going to murder me and no one get caught.
Why? Why?
because they don't have laws. They don't have their own laws. Like you could legit get pushed over. You could die from like a shark or something, or like that spinning propeller thing underneath the motor and get chopped up and be like shark bait, and no one would be charged. Like, at least if I get murdered, I want someone to be held accountable.
What if you just stay like in the middle of everybody so that if someone murders you, at least the crowd will get them?
No, because they're just take my body, and I'm not small. I mean, they'd have to heave ho pretty good, and they'd get me off of the side. And I would, there goes Deidre forever. We are so sidetracked, but it's a true concern.
We are very sidetracked. So you'll never go on a cruise ever?
Oh,
Like,
I
what
don't
if your
want to
mom-
die.
Like, what if your mom tomorrow was like, I bought us tickets. We're going to go on a cruise. We got to fly to LA, jump on a ship. We're going to go down to like Ensenada or like Cabo and then come back. What would you do?
She doesn't fly.
Okay, drive.
So
You guys were going to drive to
we're
LA.
gonna drive. I honestly might have to tell her, good luck, Mom. Have a good trip.
What if the ticket was already paid for
She
and the
should have
car
asked
was
me
already
first.
gassed up?
No, she should have asked me first. I don't even think she'd go on a cruise. No, I'm terrified. My neighbors want to go on a cruise and they're like, hey, we should go on a cruise. And I'm like, no, we're gonna die.
Listen, if you're with your neighbors, won't you then be safe? No one's going to murder you then.
What if there is though? Or what if you do fall off? Like how, like I've never been on a cruise, obviously. Is there plexiglass that stops you? Could you fall in? Like if you're looking over, I would be the one to fall in. Like that's my life. So
What
like,
if you stay back like 3 feet?
oh, and then you hit a bump and there she goes.
You're in the water. What bump?
A wave,
Oh, wait.
a wave.
I feel like these ships are huge. If you just stay in the middle, you're not going to fall off the ship. Like these things they're so big, they have like water parks in there.
I
You literally
know.
could stay away from the side of the ship and be safe.
Like I would probably stay in my room and not leave. It'd be like COVID which is not funny, which is truly not funny. It would be like me.
I'm not laughing.
But it's true. I don't mind. I mean, no. I don't need to go on a cruise to go see a whale or something. Like I can go on a little speedboat and see one just fine.
So you would take a speedboat, but you wouldn't get on a cruise ship.
Yeah, I've been on boats. I went on a whale watching thing in California.
In the ocean?
Yeah.
And you weren't worried about getting murdered and thrown off the side of that?
No, because they still have laws. Once you go into international waters, there's no laws.
But you can still get stabbed and thrown off the side of that little boat, regardless of whether there's laws or not.
But there'd be more people to see it. And I would have a better chance of surviving.
But there's like thousands of people on this cruise ship. There's probably like 4 people on the boat you were on.
There is no method to my madness. And I am fully aware of this. And it's irrational, just like my fear of E.T., Yoda, and Alf. Totally irrational.
Do you think that on the ship that Columbus came on, there was anybody like you that was terrified of being on that cruise ship, on that ship?
Yes, he was the one hugging the pole. That was me. That was like my ancestors hugging the pole.
How long was the trip for Columbus from the other side of the world to the New World?
I don't know.
Wasn't it like
I know
weeks?
that one. They were talking about like they had enough provisions for like 2 years. I don't know.
2 years of provisions? How do you even stack that up? Like,
Lots of moldy cheese. Why do you think Europeans like cheese? It lasts forever. No, I'm just guessing. I don't know if that's why, but they do like cheese.
So I wanted to go back to get into a little bit of how, like, that's funny. How do you feel? We kind of touched on it at the beginning of this conversation, but you're Italian. You said you're Irish Italian.
Yeah. I can't forget that Irish part because I really just look Irish. I don't look
Oh,
Italian.
I know what you mentioned earlier. I wanted to talk. I took a mental note, just came back to me. You said that you took a test
No,
to
I
like
did.
identify where you're from.
I took the ancestry test where you send your saliva off and they'll tell you all about your life. And I
So
came back, huh?
did it match up with your thoughts of what you were?
No.
No.
My mom says that it's BS. She's like, I don't believe in that. That's stupid. Because see, so my grandfather came, my great grandfather came, he actually traveled through Ellis Island. Like he has a name, like my grandfather has a, so I don't know if you know, if you've ever been to New York to go see this on Ellis Island, but you could buy a plaque, and it's a placard at Ellis Island, and it has the immigrants' names, and they are verified. It's really cool. So my ancestors did come through Ellis Island on the Italian side. And the Irish side was here earlier. They were more of like the settlers. But my grandfather's family was like straight up Italian. And so my mom was always, we just was like, you're half Irish, half Italian. So we always figured we had a little more Italian in us. Plus, excuse me, we do have kind of that Italian temper, I would say. My sister and I do, and my mom. So when I took the test, I was thinking it'd be like, yeah, 30% Italian. And I had 1% Sardinian.
1% Sardinian.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was like, I don't even know what that is. It's like a little island off of Italy. So technically I'm still Italian, but
But you're only 1% Italian?
I'm 1% Italian.
Wow. So this whole time, like you're supposed to just be completely Italian.
Yeah.
And now you're only 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, my family's from Italy. We're so cool. No, I'm like nothing. I'm more, like I said, I'm more Northern European. I'm like English, Scottish, Irish. I'm more of the ishes.
So you're more related to like William Wallace from Braveheart than Al Capone?
Pretty much. I mean, both total awesome people, but handle things very differently.
Very different how they came from
Very
different
different.
worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom was like, that's stupid. So we don't talk about it anymore.
So how do you feel about that? Or were you disappointed that you're not Italian or only 1%?
No, I look more Irish. I mean, my name is Deidre. Like that's straight off the Irish boat. I mean,
you know what? I've never heard that name before. At least said the way you say it. Is that common?
No.
Is that a common name?
No, my mom tried to jack me up. She wanted to screw me for my whole life. Like my sibling, I'm not kidding you. This is my stand-up routine. If I'm ever a comedian. Like my brothers, it's Chris, Jeff, Nicole, Joshua, and then Deidre. Like who does that to their kid? Like why couldn't I be Sarah or Bethany? So
and then why is it Deidre and then the last letter in your name is an E of your first name?
It's the accents, and there's technically a hyphen line above my first E, and so I just go with D or Deidre or Deidre. I answer to pretty much whatever.
What do your friends call you?
Deidre.
And what does the world call you?
Deidre. And I answer. I just respond.
You're just done with it?
As a kid, it's like as a kid when you had a substitute teacher and they were going through the names and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And then the sub would stop and I knew it was me. I was like, I'm here, Deidre.
Does that remind you of that skit, that teacher skit where the teacher is saying all the names wrong? What is it, Key and Peele? And he's saying all the names wrong and then he's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's my life. That was me my entire life. Yes.
You were like, present.
Present. Block A. Next to block A.
Aaron.
Yes. Yes, that was me. That was my life.
I don't know how they even came up with that skit. That is just the funniest thing.
It's really good. It was a good one. So yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. So I don't know about the Italian side. I don't know about any of this anymore.
You're like,
I'm just me.
I'm just lost.
I told you. Yeah, I just land of rainbows, unicorns, and ponies. That's what I live in. And it's a good world. It's a good world.
All right. Did you have any other like cool points or stuff you wanted to throw out there? I mean, I asked you the questions I had lined up for you, but open platform, throw it out there, whatever you have.
You know, one thing that I did want to, we were talking about, or that was on the points, was like looking at like racism then versus racism now. And I think that it's really important to kind of teach our youth that it's still very present, and that they we as a society and a world need to stand up together. And I teach young minds every day, including my two boys, and it's so important to teach them to be open-minded and to accept those our differences, because too often, even at my school, they throw out words that are very demeaning towards other ethnicities, and I'm like, that you don't have a right to say that. So I think if we just continue teaching that, because it's ever present in our society.
Currently, do you feel attacked as a white person? The way that, how do I want to word this? Like, it's almost like every single white person is being held accountable, for racism. But you, from what I'm gathering from you, you have a very open mind, like you're open to all races. You're not racist from what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, do you feel attacked because maybe, the random person that doesn't know you that's walking down the street is like, oh, look at that white person. I'm sure she's this, that, and the other. Like, do you feel attacked in any way with everything that's going on?
No, I don't feel attacked. I actually feel more aware that I have had privilege that I didn't realize I had. And that in order for things to change, I have to be aware of my privilege. And again, I did not realize I had it. I am very open-minded, but to use, I don't know how to say this, to like not be ignorant in the fact of, even though I'm an open-minded person, me being white does get treated differently than somebody else who's colored, who has darker skin than me or a different color skin than me. So I don't feel attacked at all. I actually feel uneducated about it.
Yeah.
And I don't like that feeling, because I can
Like
sit there and say, I accept everybody for who they are and that what's happening is not right. But yeah, I still get treated differently, and it's not okay. And I want to stop that. I want to educate our youth, because that's where it starts. We have to kind of like teach our youth to not be ignorant and to be educated.
And I wanted to throw out this story, just take it however anybody wants to take it. But, and me as a Mexican guy, when I'm in certain areas, sometimes you just got to be aware of your surroundings. I went to Arvada not so long ago, was walking to the Office Max. It was cold, snowing. I had my hoodie on. I walked to the Office Max, print out my flyers because I'm wanting to, market the area that I'm in. I'm staying at my broker's house. He's right there in Arvada, not too far from Old Town, not too far from where, the G line of the light rail stops right there. Anyhow, I'm walking that direction, go to Office Max, get my printout, super excited. I'm making all these videos, posting them on my social media, all happy. Come walking back. Right down the street from my broker's house, there's these two cops, these two cruisers that go by, and they see me. All of a sudden, they, excuse my language, flip a bitch, make a U-turn, come right back down by me. One of them goes up ahead and pulls over, and the cop actually gets out of the vehicle. Now, I can see in their head, they might have thought that I was maybe turning left to go down the street to get away from them, but literally that was my left turn, because my broker's house is right there. I turn left and I start walking this way, and that second cruiser goes flying down the street. coming, and he gets to where I'm at just in time to see me, use the key to
Mhm.
open the house to my broker's house. Slowed down, definitely like eyeballed me. And then there's the second one, the cop that I told you stopped, got out of the car. Like he was back in his cruiser, came speeding by right there too in front of my broker's house, slowed down and looked. Nothing happened, right? I got there, I got in, but it's just like things that sometimes, I'm fully aware that I will have to go through sometimes. I'm just like, I was doing a lot of walking those days because I flew into Denver. I didn't have a car. I was walking everywhere I needed to go. If I needed I would like maybe call an Uber for whatever reason. However, maybe the neighbors saw me walking around quite a bit and it was like sudden. I hadn't been there. Suddenly I'm there. I'm doing all this walking around. Maybe they were like, who's this? I should have downloaded the Nextdoor app. I don't know if that's big over there, but maybe I would have seen people posting, hey, there's this strange guy walking. I could have replied like, oh, it's just me. Hello. But yeah, those are things that happen. You know what I mean? As a Mexican person, that's not the first time I've gone through a scenario like that. It was the first time in Denver, but not the first time here in Phoenix that I've had something like that happen. But I just wanted to throw that story out there just to give you some perspective from my point of view too. On it doesn't sound like your perspective is off or anything. I'm just adding. I'm just giving my story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I find it sad that the place that I do love so much, living here, that would even be consideration, that you would even have cops, following you. I think that's such a I don't know. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. I really am, because it shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening anywhere.
Right.
We should be able to go in any neighborhood and be safe and be fine and not have to be concerned on, keeping your head down or making sure you get straight to your house or your car, don't say anything.
And you know what, for all I know, maybe they did get a call and they were in the neighborhood trying to track that person down. Maybe I fit a description, and so maybe they tailed me for a minute. I don't know. I don't know what was happening, what was going on, but yeah, they definitely turned around, and I feel like if I had kept walking straight when that cop got out of his car, he was going to stop me and talk to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad or dangerous was going to happen. Who knows? But definitely I know that they were looking for me at that moment. So.
And that's, again, I mean, that shouldn't have happened, especially because it's not like, see, if we had people, so my neighborhood is I live in a cul-de-sac and we are very aware of who is in our neighborhood. We also have a path that backs up a lot of our houses. So we have people walking through our neighborhood all the time. But if we did see somebody who was walking around, I don't care what color, who you were, whatever, we'd have no problem. Be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Are you staying somewhere? But that's that open-mindedness piece of it. That's that piece of, there's no reason to be scared to talk to somebody different or new in the neighborhood. I mean, my neighbors and I are the first one to go to a new neighborhood and be like, hey, what's up? You want to go? Let's go barbecue. Let's go hang out. But too many people don't do that, and they should.
Understood. Sounds good.
Yes. See, now I'm terrified of aliens and cruises.
I do know that now.
Yes. But I'm a huge history buff.
Anything else you want to throw out there? Any other historical things you want to say? I mean,
okay, so we'll close this off. We'll do the the closing ceremony. Okay, closing thought. Looking back at the video,
it's already almost 8:40 over there. I forgot. Okay,
I need to be in my jammies. No, I'm so late.
You're okay.
My closing thoughts are this: when we look at this video, and I hope that your viewers do watch it because it is really cool. The very end of it had a quote, and it talked about that. It said that there was no desire to explore the idea or the fact that a founding father or the original explorers of the Americas could have been Black. And I think that that speaks volumes, because very easily they were the ones who founded and were on the Americas first. So I think that's something to think about. Dive deeper into this. I know I will, and I have since watching this video, because truly Columbus was not the original explorer who found the Americas.
On that note, what you just said there, are you saying, how do I want to say this? So I've always read, or whatever I was taught, there was a land bridge way back then, and that's where the people from the other side of the world walked over and inhabited where we're at now.
Yes.
So when you're saying that the Africans came over first, you're not talking about that land bridge and all that, right? You're just saying there was natives here already.
No, the land bridge for sure. I mean, that's actually what we teach our students now, is that they cross the Bering Strait, the land bridge. And they, we even say that the first humans came from southern Africa, and then they travel up and they all start to descend into different areas. And then they crossed over through Asia and hit the land bridge, and then came down and settled. So yeah,
that's a lot of
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's a lot of walking. Who decides that they want to do that? Like you as yourself, you're in Arvada, Denver, basically, for people that don't know what Arvada or where Arvada is.
Yes.
Would you just decide tomorrow that you're just going to walk to Mexico or Canada?
No. Do I look like the type that would just walk like that long?
So my question is, why did our ancestors do that way back in the land bridge era?
You got to think about land resources. They were nomadic, so they would follow their food. And so if the food was moving typically north, is the way that they say that they came up from Africa, they moved north from the tip of Africa, they followed their food. So and then they started to go to different areas. And then the like they say, caribou and stuff, they followed them over the land bridge. And then the land bridge melted. And so then you have
land bridge was ice.
It was ice. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they followed the food, and then they started to realize, so this is Paleolithic time. So this is like Paleolithic era. So the old Stone Age. So like we're talking Stone Age time, cavemen, this type of thing. And then as they came over to the Americas, they started to settle. And they started to settle in like Europe and Asia and stuff like that. But when they got over and they crossed the land bridge into the Americas, they started to settle because they figured out agriculture and how to grow their own food. And that changed everything.
So this might be a dumb question, but how did they discover agriculture? Like, how did they discover that they could plant a carrot in the ground or whatever? Or like, how, you know what I mean? Like, how did they discover this stuff?
So what I tell my students, and again, your 40 followers might correct me here, but really it was kind of like some seeds. Like they realized that like if seeds dropped, they would start to grow there. So it wasn't like, from my understanding, it wasn't intentional. It was more like, oh, hey, we don't have to walk all this way to get food. We can plant it ourselves. And then they started to figure out that they could do livestock. So they could tame or domesticate animals. So this is
like,
what
I can get that cow and keep it for myself.
Yes. And so it was that's what they call the Neolithic era. And so that's the new Stone Age. So they started to figure out like, we can build shelter, we can build cities, and we can grow our own food, and we can have our own livestock, and we survive much better because we don't have to move from place to place to place. And that changed everything.
Who discovered that you could tug on a cow and get milk?
I have no idea.
If you had a cow in your backyard right now and you didn't know this already, would you be like, I can go tug on those and some milk is going to come out and I'm going to drink that and put that in my cereal?
I would probably give it a tug. I'm not going to lie.
You would?
I think, okay, but you have to think, this is like.
I'm talking, you don't know. You don't know that a cow can do this.
What else are you going to, so what else are you going to do? So if you think about it this way, let's say you're lost in the wilderness. You decided to go camping all by yourself. You're doing this like I'm going to find out who I am. And then you get lost. And I think there's actually that movie where the guy in the van, whatever, and you see an animal and it's like, yeah, I'm going to see what happens there. I totally would. I'd be like, and see what happens. More like this. I would
Well, I
see what
guess,
happens.
well, I guess then I know how it was discovered, because I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, I ain't touching that thing. The hell?
No, that's why they say when, I don't know, fun fact, you might know this. So when you're out lost, that's why this dude, that guy died, poor guy. I forget what it was. But you rub like plants and berries on your skin right here, and if you react, it's poisonous. So
What
if
the
you
heck?
rub a berry, I swear, go try it, see what happens.
I'm not sure I'll do that. So if you
Yeah.
rub something on your arm right here
Yeah,
on your
so-
wrist,
Yeah, so like I'm in the wilderness lost, which will never happen because I don't camp. Just FYI, there's bugs out there. So if you find a berry and you're starving because you're lost, you take the berry and you rub it on your skin, and underneath here is your most sensitive part. And if it has any type of reaction, it's poisonous.
really?
But if you don't, then you're able to eat it on a more safer. At least
How
that's what I was told.
How long do you need to give it for the reaction?
I'd give it a good.
Like, is
I
it
don't
an instant
know,
reaction?
20
Do I gotta
minutes,
wait an
no.
hour?
I mean, I'm gonna wait for a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I probably would wait a day.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so I think that's what it is. I think they just started to be like, yeah, I'm gonna try this. I mean, I'm sure people died along the way. They would have died anyways with like weather and stuff like that.
So this is what happened to people that crossed that land bridge and came to this side of the world,
yeah,
started interacting with the plants and the berries, and figured out that one can kill you.
yes, yes.
That one makes you itch.
If it itches, stay away. I mean, that's in general in life. If it itches, stay away, because you don't want to mess with it.
I got a lot of jokes for that one, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it alone.
Yeah.
But all right, I think we've gone a good amount of time here, and I don't want to keep you up past your bedtime.
Yeah. It hit me.
There's the yawn.
There was the yawn. It's late. It's
Okay.
late for me.
All right.
This
Do you
was
have
really
anything else you
fun.
want to add real quick? Anything you want to throw out there? Are you good?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me to do this. This was really fun.
Yeah, I'm
Enjoyed it.
glad. I'm happy that you accepted my invitation.
Yes.
It was a fascinating conversation, and probably will ask you to do this again. You know, we can get
I would
into some
love to.
other ancient alien stuff or something.
Now that I've offended every Star Wars fan, I really didn't mean to call him stupid. I apologize, Star Wars fans, because I'm gonna get hate for my
Listen.
family as well.
Listen, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm not mad at you. It's okay.
It's a
I
true
understand.
fear.
I understand it's not for everybody. I understand.
It's fair. So, but no, anytime. This was fun. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. I will end it now, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye.